Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my 2024-2025 League 2 table predictions. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 250 likes on today's video, that I'd massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so, and it does massively help out. Get your thoughts in as well down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below, firstly, where do you think your team will finish this season, and also let me know down below who do you think will be relegated and who do you think will be promoted, and also who do you think will finish in the playoffs as well. Every other team doesn't really matter about. We've had a lot of build up and different types of videos, but today is my official 1 to 24, well actually it's going to be 24 to 1 League 2 table predictions. I'm sure you're going to disagree, and that's fine, so get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let's waste no further time and get straight into it. In at 24th position then, I've gone with Newport County. They've been down and around them relegation sort of places for the last couple of seasons. Graham Coughlin, I know, kind of divided a lot of people, but I personally think he had much more pedigree than the new manager who they have brought in, and the big loss obviously is Will Evans. Over 20 goals last season. He's made that step up into League 1 with Mansfield Town, and they haven't replaced him. A lot of their signings are not traditional household names. A lot of the players you probably won't have heard of. There's a lot of youngsters coming through from championship clubs who've released them. There's a couple of players coming in from non-league as well. I'm just not seeing enough quality in this Newport side to stay up. They brought back Courtney Baker-Richardson to the football club. Jeff Cott, scored a couple of goals a few seasons ago for Plymouth, but apart from that, I think they're really lacking quality in there. They've got a few experienced midfielders, the likes of Aaron Wildig and Byrne Morris, but on the whole, for me, I don't think they'll have enough quality to stay up this season, and I unfortunately think Newport County will finish rock bottom. In 23rd position then, and the other team who I believe will be relegated this season, I've gone with Accrington Stanley. Now, they've had some major departures this summer. Jack Nolan has signed for Gillingham, Tommy Lee has signed for MK Dons, Joe Pritchard has also signed for MK Dons. While some of their recruitment has been okay, I'm not convinced on John Doolan as a manager. I think the loss of John Coleman is a very significant one. I like the double swoop of Jimmy Knowles and Kelsey Mooney from Boston United, but can they make that step up into League 2? I'm not so sure, to be honest with you. Again, I also like the double swoop from Morecambe of Fern Rawson and Donald Love, but I just don't think there is enough quality in this side to avoid relegation this season. The other teams who are down in and around it, I think, will have just about enough to get over the line, but I don't think they're going to score enough goals. I don't think they've got enough creativity in that team now that they've lost both Lee and Pritchard in the same window, as well as Nolan. 3 very significant losses, and I don't think they've adequately replaced them, in my personal opinion, so I think Accrington Stanley will finish in 23rd. In 22nd place, and just about avoiding the drop, I've gone with Bromley FC. I think they're going to have that momentum coming through from the National League, obviously winning the playoffs last campaign. They've got some good experience in there. They brought in a fair few loans, some Championship and Premier League clubs, and they brought back some former players to the football club as well. I really like the signing, though, of Marcus Denanga. He's coming from Gateshead. I think he's going to be very key and pivotal to them avoiding relegation in this upcoming campaign. I think they'll just about have enough. I really like their manager in Andy Woodman, experienced captain in Byron Webster, scored the winning penalty to send them through to the EFL a couple months ago now, and for me personally, I think Bromley will just about have enough to avoid relegation this season. In 21st position, I've gone with Grimsby Town. They finished their last campaign, and I think they'll finish in this position once more. Their recruitment has actually been okay. I really like the signing of George McEachran coming in from Swindon. They've also brought back some youngsters to the football club, the likes of Lewis Cass, Matty Carson, Tyrell Warren. Their recruitment age seems to be in between 20 and 27 on the whole, and I really like that they're going a little bit younger with their team this year. But looking through their squad, they've only got 1 or 2 players who are either age 30 or over, and that's a little bit of a concern. It's all well and good going younger, but if you haven't quite got the experience to get over the line when the going gets tough, I do think they could struggle. They've got a brilliant goal scorer in Danny Rose. Charles Vernon has proven in the past in League 2 he can be a good player if they stay fit. The player they've signed from Iceland, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but he looks like a good recruit on paper. Some of their signings have been good, but Grimsby were absolutely terrible last season. I'm not overly convinced on David Artell as a manager. I don't think he's the right fit for Grimsby Town. I like the midfield midfield of the likes of Curtis Thompson, Callum Ainley when he's fit and available. On the whole though, I can't quite see Grimsby pushing on this season, so I'm backing them to finish in 21st again. In 20th position, I've gone with Salford City. Now, I've seen quite a lot of people predicting them to finish in the top half, and I'm not really seeing that in my personal opinion. They've lost their two best players in Elliot Watt and Matt Smith. I know Matt Smith means that you have to play a very direct style of football, and they brought in Cole Stockton to the football club. They do have some good players already at the club, the likes of Conor McAlhaney, Kelly Namai, Matty Lund is a very good goal scoring midfielder, Rory Watson on his day, but I just look through their squad and there's no real quality in there, especially in them central midfield positions. I know I just mentioned Matty Lund there, but he's now 33 years of age, and defensively I think Curtis Till and James Chester were good players, but they're now well into their 30s. Luke Garbutt, the same can be said about him. Their goalkeeping options are 35 and 17 in terms of their age, so I don't really know what they're doing there, in all honesty. I do like Cal Robinson as a manager, but I'm just not seeing enough quality in this squad for me to see them really pushing on any higher up in that table. So for now, Salford City, I'm putting them in 20th. In 19th position, I'm going with Walsall FC. I think they're going to struggle for goals this season. I look at their striking options. Josh Gordon hasn't scored goals for a few seasons now. Danny Johnson, since he's signed for Walsall on a permanent, hasn't really pulled up any trees, and he's now 31 years of age. And Jamil Matt has never really been a goal scorer, and he's quite injury prone, 34 years of age, and that is why I do think Walsall will struggle this season. I'm not overly convinced on Matt Sadler as a manager. They lost their best player this summer in Isaac Hutchinson. He joined Bristol Rovers in League One. They've brought in Charlie Lakin to try and replace him, and I think he is a decent signing, but he's not going to get near 25 goal contributions like what Hutchinson were close to last campaign. Albert Adoma provides a lot of experience down at that right hand side. I really like the signing of Connor Barrett. They have got some good midfield options like Ryan Stirk. I'm a big fan of him. Liam Gordon at left back I think is a good player. Donovan Daniels on his day can be a good League 2 defender. They've brought in former Bradford City goalkeeper Sam Hornby to the football club as well. On the whole though, for me, I don't quite think Walsall will have enough to really challenge any higher up in the table. The expectation for them probably should be the playoffs, but I think they're going to be absolutely miles off it this season. Need at least 2 goal scoring strikers in through the door, but it seems like they're kind of a little bit tight with their money, and I can't see Walsall pushing on any higher than 19th at the moment. In 18th position, I've gone with Cheltenham Town. They've got a new manager and basically an entire whole new squad. I think they've made around 15 signings this transfer window so far. There's very few players who were there last season who will still be there going into the next campaign, like Matty Taylor, Tom Pett, Liam Kinsella. There's not really many. Tom Bradley, there's about 4 or 5 players who were still there last season who will be there going into next season. And some of their signings are interesting to say the least. So like Ryan Haynes coming into the football club, Joe Day as well, Scott Bennett. A lot of these players Michael Flynn will have worked with at Newport County. I really like the signing of Luke Young. He comes in from Wrexham AFC, being the captain there over the last couple of seasons. Ryan Bowman, not really a goal scorer to be honest with you, and he's now 32 years of age. I'm not entirely convinced of Michael Flynn as a manager. He's not really done much since leaving Newport when he got them to a couple playoff campaigns, but on the whole for me I think 18th, they just kind of need a season of consolidation to Cheltenham and make sure they don't go back to back, because last season unfortunately ended terribly for them and they've lost basically all their good players, and not even the good ones, they've lost basically all their team, so they're going to start out slow for me, but I think they'll have no real problems of relegation, but I certainly can't see them pushing on any higher than 18th. In 17th position, I've gone with Morecambe FC. Now, a lot of people are backing them for relegation, or certainly to be a lot closer than where I have put them, but Derek Adams is the manager at Morecambe, so I think they're going to be in no real trouble of relegation. They've not got many loans in as well at the moment, just 1 or 2, and Morecambe always seem to get good loans in. Look at last season, like Michael Mellon, Eli King. They also had, was it Callum Connolly or James Connolly from Bristol Rovers? He was excellent for them as well, and Derek Adams has done unbelievable things with Morecambe the last few times that he's been there, so again he probably is going to do very well. I'm massively impressed by the signing of George Ray. How they've managed to get him in through the door is outstanding. I would have taken him at Bradford City, to be honest with you. Luke Hendry comes in as well, following his release from Bradford City. Again, Derek Adams would have worked with him there. The same can be said about Liangle. Jan Songo has re-signed for the football club as well. They tied down Gwion Edwards to a new long-term contract. Going forward, they might struggle for goals, but Jordan Slew is a very good physical striker for this level. Their midfield isn't really stacked with quality on paper, but Derek Adams knows how to get the best out out of his players. I think they're 1 or 2 defenders away really from pushing on a little bit higher up in the table, but I personally don't see Morecambe in any relegation trouble this season. In 16th position, I've gone with Harrogate Town. I think again it'll be another pretty solid season for them this year. I can't see them pushing on any higher than that at the moment, as obviously they did lose Rod McDonald and they haven't quite replaced him at this moment in time. I do think they need to get in a couple defenders before the end of the transfer window, but they've got some good players. I think going forward they might struggle for goals as well. Josh March hasn't really pulled up any trees since returning to the football club. Jack Muldoon is now 35. Matty Daly will be a good goal scoring midfielder. Same can be said about George Thompson. They got Dean Cornelius as well in that midfield. Some good energy in Levi Sutton and Josh Falkin, and Matty Folds is one of the best left backs in the division. Anthony O'Connor was excellent last campaign as well. They've got some good players. Obviously one of the longest, if not the longest serving managers in the EFL in Simon Weaver. I think again it's going to be another solid season for Harrogate this year, around mid-table. I'm backing them to finish in 16th. In 15th position, I've gone with AFC Wimbledon. Now I'm not entirely convinced on Johnny Jackson as a manager. I always think it's very telling when players turn down new contracts with your football club and sign for fellow League 2 sides. I always look at that instantly, especially for a club the size of AFC Wimbledon. It's got to be down to the manager. The likes of Ronan Curtis going to Port Vale, the likes of Armani Little going to Gillingham, for example. Their recruitment, I wouldn't say has massively impressed me. I do quite like the signing though of Matty Stevens. They've brought back Joe Piggott to the football club, which I wouldn't say I'm particularly impressed by. Same can be said about John Joe O'Toole. Alistair Smith can be a decent midfielder for this level, but it'll be interesting to see how he does get on. Miles Hippolyte brings some good experience as well down at that left side, but they have lost a few of their key players from last campaign. I think they're going to be in for another mid-table season this year, and Johnny Jackson probably will lose his job. In 14th position, I'm going with Colchester United. Now this one again, it's very similar to Burton in League One. It's about damage control, because they've signed a lot of players, and on paper a lot of very good players, and I think Danny and Nicky Cowley know what they're doing. I look at their striking options, I think it might hold them back a little bit. I'm not seeing a 20-goal season striker in there, but they have recruited very well. Teddy Bishop comes in from Lincoln City. Jack Payne comes in from Charlton Athletic, which I think is an absolutely brilliant signing. Rob Hunt comes in from Leyton Orient, a lot of experience there. Tom Flanagan, same can be said about him. Matt Macy obviously worked with the Cowleys at Portsmouth, and I think on the whole for me they already had some good players on paper there last campaign, the likes of Mandela Egbo, Arthur Reed, Matt Jay, if he can rediscover his Exeter City form, he's a very good player at this level. I think they're a real goal scoring striker away from challenging for the playoffs potentially, because I look at their options, the likes of Lyle Taylor, Tom Hopper, Connor Wilkinson. I don't see them bagging loads of goals next season. They might probably get about 30 between them all. I just don't see enough goals in this Colchester side, but they're certainly not going to be in any real worry of relegation, or at least you'd like to hope not, because they always seem to sign very well in January and still just about ending up to avoid relegation. But for now I'm going with Colchester United to finish in 14th. In 13th position I'm going with Crewe Alexandria. They've lost a few significant players this summer. The most notable one for me is Rio Adebisi. He signed for League One side Peterborough United. He was excellent for them last campaign, but they've still got some very good players on paper, and they've brought in some good signings as well. I really like the signing of James Connolly, who comes in from Bristol Rovers. Max Sanders, very good midfielder for this level, only 25 years of age. He comes in from Leyton Orient. Jack Lancaster joins the football club as well, only 24 years of age. They did lose Elliot Nevitt, who was very good for them at last campaign, and they've brought in Omar Bogle and Kane Hemmings to replace him, two strikers who are now over the age of 30, but I see Bogle doing quite well for Crewe next season. They've got some good players, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do finish in and around the playoffs again, but I just think there's some better teams who will finish above them at the moment, so unfortunately I can't quite put Crewe any higher than 13th at the moment. Before we go any further though with today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. We are in for 250 likes on today's video. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, and get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below where do you think your club will finish this season. Let's waste no further time and move on into the top half. In 12th position then I have gone with Barrow AFC. Obviously Pete Wild no longer their manager. He's been there for a number of years now, and they've lost a few of their better players as well from last campaign, but that real core of the squad is still there. The likes of Niall Canavan still with the football club, Dean Campbell, Robbie Gotts. You've also got Emil Aqua, Dom Telford. They have got some good players in there already. Then they've also recruited very well the likes of Andy Dallas, Conor Mahoney. You got as well. Theo Vassell, Will Stanway I think will be a very good goalkeeper for the level. He might start as a backup, but I think eventually he'll work his way into that side. I don't quite think Barrow will be in real contention for the playoffs. I might be wrong, but at the moment I'm backing Barrow to finish in mid-table. In 11th position, I've gone with Swindon Town. Now, I feel like they've recruited very well and they have made some really, really good signings, but we've got to remember just how awful Swindon were last campaign, so they needed all these brilliant signings just to be a competent squad, and their squad depth is really poor. They've got a real lack of strength in depth. They've got a very good starting 11, maybe 3 or 4 of the substitutes as well, but after that, if they get a couple of injuries, it's going to be very similar to last campaign. A lot of players who underperformed last campaign are still with the football club. I do like some of their signings though. Harry Smith, big physical striker, he's going to cause a big threat for the opposition. Ollie Clark is one of the signings of the transfer window for me. I think that's an absolutely unbelievable signing. He's come in from Mansfield Town. Jeff King provides some experience from Chesterfield. They've brought in Tumnise Sobowale from Shrewsbury. I quite like that signing, 25 years of age. Rosette Longello as well comes in from Accrington. That's another player who they've lost this summer. Will Wright from Crawley is an unbelievable signing on a free transfer. Grant Hall, if he can stay fit, returns to the football club and will provide some real experience. I can't put them any higher at the moment because they need a lot more strength in depth. They do still have some good players though from last campaign, the likes of Saido Khan, Tariq Uakwe as well, even Aaron Drinnan if you can keep him fit. I don't think there'll be in any real concerns of relegation or anything like that, like they were probably thinking a little bit last campaign, but I don't think they'll quite have enough to make it into that top 7 at this moment in time, so I'm going with Swindon Town to finish in 11th, but obviously there's still a long time left of the transfer window. Things could definitely change, but right now I'm going with Swindon to miss out on the playoffs. In 10th position then, I have gone with Carlisle United. Now, they need a fast start, and I don't see them doing that under Paul Simpson. I think Paul Simpson, for me, works very well on a smaller budget when the pressure isn't on. When the pressure is on, though, I do see Carlisle struggling at next campaign. Some of their signings have been absolutely excellent, and their starting 11 on paper, when everyone's fit and available, looks very good. But then again, we look to the wider picture, and their squad depth, it's not really there for me personally. And I look at their striking options. Their main 3 strikers are all very similar, the likes of Charlie White, Georgie Kelly and Luke Armstrong. Big physical strikers, and I'm not really seeing too many players who are going to do the running in behind. I don't know too much about the Bournemouth loanee in Adu Ajay, but I think he scored a goal or 2 in pre-season, and he might be a pacey striker, but I haven't seen him play, so I can't really comment on him all too much. A few of their more creative midfielders have picked up injuries, the likes of Ethan Robson, Dylan McGeoch and Taylor Charters. I think Dan Butterworth needs to get more game time this year and really step up. Callum Guy injured at the moment, Ethan Robson injured at this moment in time. Defensively, they have made some good signings, and it's a position they need to improve on. Last campaign, I think John McMellish has still been with the football club and recently signed a new contract is good news. I do like the signings though of Thomas, Hayden, Harper, even Davies as well, but I'm just not entirely convinced on Paul Simpson as a manager and whether he can play the attacking football that they need to get out of this division. Harry Lewis has had some good moments in League 2 and has also had some really poor moments as well, and was terrible for Carlisle when he signed for them in January, so it'll be interesting to see which Harry Lewis they get this season. On the whole though, for me, I don't quite think Carlisle will have enough to make it into that top 7 at this moment in time. Their injury record is pretty poor. They're probably going to start the opening day of the season with a centre-back in midfield, that being Ben Barkley, and I think that's concerning for me. And on the whole, I'm going with Carlisle to finish in 10th at this moment in time. I don't quite think they'll have enough to make it into the playoffs. In 9th position, I've gone with Gillingham FC. Now, I was very impressed with their start to the window. They brought in the likes of Jack Nolan, Elliot Nevitt, who I know I've personally said that I don't think he'll do well there, but on paper is a good signing. Armani Little joined the football club, and then their recruitment just kind of went a little bit stale, and the position which they really need to improve on this season was a striker, and I'm not seeing a goal-scoring striker at the football club. They've got 7 or 8 different players who can play as strikers, and I'm not seeing any of them who are going to score 20-25 league goals the next campaign, and that for me is concerning. They've brought in Jacob Wakelin on loan from Peterborough United. I'm massively impressed by the signing of Jack Nolan, and on paper they've still got some good players from last campaign, the likes of George Lapsley, Romeo Hutton, Timothy Dieng. Defensively, the likes of Shadrach Oge and Conor Masterton are 2 very good players for this level, but I just don't see Gillingham scoring enough goals in this upcoming campaign. It's been their problem for the last couple of seasons, and I think it's going to be their problem again. I do like their manager in Mark Bonnet. It's another opportunity for him to prove himself in League Two. If they get a striker in, I certainly can see them making it in that top 7, but I'm just not seeing enough goals going forward in this team. So as of right now, I'm going with Gillingham to miss out on the playoffs, and I'm putting them in 9th. In 8th position then, and the final team missing out on a playoff spot, I have gone with Fleetwood Town. I've been very impressed with their recruitment so far. I look at the likes of Zek Medley joining the football club from Belgium. Really do like that signing. Mark Helm, I think, will be one of the most underrated pieces of business that they will do all transfer window. Matty Virtue and Elliot Bonds, two very good League One midfielders for me, so the fact that they're still in League Two is promising. I can't quite put them in the playoffs at the moment because I don't see a goal scorer in that side, and I think, again, similar to Gillingham, that will hold them back a little bit. I don't see Coughlin, Lonergan, Williams. None of these players are going to score enough goals for me. They've still got Brendan Weirdo with the football club, which is massive news for them. If he can stay fit and available for the full season, it will be so integral to their side. I still think there's more business to be done for the Cods. As of right now, though, they've still got some good players there last season who didn't really perform, like Danny Mayer, Ryan Broom, so it'll be interesting to see how they do get on in this upcoming campaign. As of right now, though, I'm going with Fleetwood Town to finish in 8th. In 7th position, and the team who I think will get that final playoff spot, I've gone with Bradford City. Now, obviously, my team, I've been saying all summer, I think we'll miss out on the playoffs. We'll finish in and around 10th, but when I was putting together my predictions, I was looking at some of the teams that are around that 12th to 7th sort of place, and I was like, well, I think we're better than them. I think we've got a better squad than them. We've got a better manager than them, for example. So I've actually, by luck or by crook, we've managed to find ourselves in the playoffs in my predictions, even though I think we're probably going to finish around 10th. Somehow I'm predicting Bradford City to finish in 7th. Maybe it's more hope rather than an actual prediction, but on paper we do have one of the best squads in the entire division. We've got a really good spine in there, the likes of Sam Walker in goal, Kieran Kelly at the back. You've got Brad Halliday, the best right wing back in the division last campaign, Richie Smallwood, Alex Patterson, Anthony Sarcevic, Jamie Walker, Bobby Poynton. Going forward, you got the likes of Jake Young, Callum Kavanagh, Andy Cook. There's a lot of talent in this squad. Alexander, for me, out of all our previous managers, the likes of Derek Adams, Gary Bowyer, them type of managers, I think Graham Alexander is the man who the fans will get behind the most, because he doesn't try and pull the wool over your eyes, and I think a lot of people agree with what he says in his interviews and all that sort of stuff. We also brought in the likes of Callum Johnson to the football club, Jack Shepherd as well on loan from Barnsley. Then we've brought in some defenders who, on paper, not the greatest of signings and haven't particularly impressed so far in pre-season, likes of Aidan Baldwin and Neil Byrne. Tyrick Wright has returned to the football club, which I'm a bit like, why have we done that? It's just a very Bradford City signing, in my personal opinion. We're still 2 or 3 players away from really challenging. As of right now, though, I've somehow managed to predict Bradford City to finish in 7th. In 6th position, I'm going with Tranmere Rovers. Now, I'm basing this largely on the fact that Nigel Adkins is one of the best managers in this division. In terms of his man management, he's absolutely exceptional at getting the best out of his players. On paper, their squad isn't one of the greatest, and some of their signings you think, well, that screams a little bit cheap for me, but Nigel Adkins is such a good manager, I simply had to put Tranmere Rovers in the playoffs this season. They've brought in Amari Patrick to the football club, so Bradford City will be playing against him once again next season. I'm a bit confused by the signing of Josh Davison, but I trust Nigel Adkins to get the best out of him. They've got a lot of different striking options, like Connor Jennings, Christian Dennis, Luke Norris, even Harvey Saunders as well to go with him. They've got a very good midfield, like Brad Walker. Regan Hendry, for me, is one of the best and most underrated midfielders in this division. Josh Hawkes, can he make that step up and be that Rob Apter replacement? Obviously, they're not going to have him this season, and it's a massive loss for them, but I think that might actually benefit them a little bit more, because they're not going to be focusing just on one player, and when he doesn't perform, their squad is a bit like, I don't really know what to do. Whereas if they've just got 11 workhorses, Nigel Adkins will get the best out of them. I'm massively impressed by the signing of Cameron Norman. Again, I would have taken him at Bradford City. I still think they're a couple of defenders away from really challenging. I don't personally rate Declan Drysdale, but they've still got some good players there from last season. Luke McGee, one of the best goalkeepers in the division, if not the best goalkeeper, to be fair. He was brilliant for Tranmere last campaign. As of right now, though, I'm backing Tranmere to finish in 6th. In 5th position, I'm going with Chesterfield FC. National League title winners last campaign. I'm backing them to finish in the playoffs in League 2 this season. Some of their signings have been very impressed with, likes of Shea Dunkley joining and linking up with Paul Cook. I think they work together at Wigan Athletic. They've also brought in Paddy Madden as well, a goal-scoring striker proven at this level. Kane Drummond as well joined the football club. That's to go along with some of the quality already there, the likes of Will Grigg. You've got Armando Dobra, one of the best players in the division already. Michael Jacobs, Liam Mandeville, Darren Aldaker, underrated midfielder for me. Tom Naylor, very good player. Lewis Gordon comes in as well from Bristol Rovers. I think they're a centre-back or two away from competing for that top 3. I'm not overly convinced on the likes of Ash Palmer, Jamie Grimes, obviously both of them into their 30s now. I think if they get a centre-back or two in and maybe a younger, pacey striker to compete with Drummond, I think they could certainly challenge for that top 3. As of right now, though, they've got one of the best managers in the division, so I'm backing Chesterfield to finish in 5th. In 4th position, I'm going with Doncaster Rovers. Now, obviously, they had the playoff heartbreak of last campaign and lost a few of their significant players from that run, the likes of Lottatala not re-signing for the football club, Harrison Biggins making that step up into League One with Shrewsbury Town. Hakeem Adoulakan is still a free agent. I'm pretty sure he turned down a 3-year contract with Doncaster. I'm sure he massively regrets that. And Grant McCann said after that game in his post-match interview, basically saying, if the players are not with me to win the league next season, don't bother returning. I think they could be in and around challenging for it, and I think if Doncaster are to get over the line next season, it will largely be down to Grant McCann, because as a manager, he's absolutely excellent. They've tied down Luke Molyneux to a new 3-year contract. Joe Ironside is still with the football club. I think Owen Bailey as well signed a new deal, one of the best midfielders in the division. Ben Close, if you can keep him fit, is a very good player. Defensively, it does concern me a little bit. I'm not seeing too many standout centre-backs. I'm not convinced on the likes of Olowu, Anderson, McGrath. Richard Wood can be a good experienced centre-back, but he is now 39 years of age as well. I think there are a couple of defenders away from challenging for that top 3. I think Doncaster, though, will make it in the playoffs this season. Jordan Gibson as a Hickey Badoulakan replacement, I don't think he's quite like for like, but can be a decent player on his day. Joe Sabara, very good attacking midfielder as well, done brilliant with Sully Hill over the last few years, although last campaign was a little bit of a down season for him. Billy Sharp has returned to the football club as well. It sounds like George Miller could be on his way out of the door. On the whole, though, for me, largely down to Grant McCann as a manager. I'm backing Doncaster Rovers to finish in 4th. Moving on then into my top 3 and the 3 clubs who I think will be automatically promoted into League One. Now, if you've been watching the channel over the last couple of weeks, then you should already know this. And if you want a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown as to why I think all these teams will achieve automatic promotion, then there are separate videos available on the channel, so make sure to go check them ones out. In 3rd position, though, I'm going with Notts County. Their recruitment this summer has been absolutely outstanding. Out of all their signings, there's only maybe 1 or 2 which I'm a little bit confused by. Alex Bass comes in from Sunderland, brilliant goalkeeper and a big improvement on what they already had. Jacob Bedo joins the football club, so does Matty Platt, Robbie Cundy, Rod McDonald, Nick Tasualua, Kellan Gordon. All these defensive recruits I think are absolutely brilliant for me. I'm not convinced on Gordon, to be honest with you. I think they've already got better in the building, especially going forward, and defensively I don't think he's amazing, to be fair. And then they've also brought in Jack Hinchy and Curtis Edwards to provide some competition in that midfield. Yes, I've lost Macaulay Langstaff and haven't replaced him, but Alassane Jatta for me will be able to step up, and I think he'll score at least 15 league goals next campaign. They've still got the likes of David McGoldrick, Aaron Namane, Jody Jones, Dan Crowley, Matt Palmer, Scott Robertson. You know, they've already got a lot of very talented players in there. They just needed to improve their defence from last campaign, because obviously they finished mid-table, I think around 14th, somewhere like that, but they conceded the most amount of goals. Scoring goals, creating chances was never an issue, but defensively they were useless, let's be honest, and they've got rid of all them terrible defenders and signed a lot of very good ones, and I'm very, very jealous, and I'm fearful of when Bradford City have to play against Notts County. So as of right now, I'm backing the Magpies to finish in 3rd. In 2nd position, I'm going with Port Vale FC. Now again, Darren Moore as their manager, he's there until 2029. Their recruitment has been excellent. The likes of Ben Amos joining the football club, Connor Hall returns as well. They brought in Ryan Crosdale from Stockport. George Byers is probably the signing of the summer across the whole of League Two. What an unbelievable piece of business that is. Ronan Curtis, Jaden Stockley, Rory Patton, Laurent Tillage. They've improved in the positions where they needed to, especially going forward. They had Ryan Loft and Uche Piazzu leading the line last campaign. They were never going to score the goals, but they've now signed 3 proven goal scorers. I'm very fearful about playing them next campaign. They still already had some very talented players from last season, like Ethan Chislett, Ben Garrity, still remain with the football club. The same can be said about Mitch Clark as well. I still think they need another centre-back or 2, but on the whole for me, with the way things are going, with the manager they've got, the players they've signed, if Port Vale don't get automatically promoted back into League One this season, I think it'll be an absolute crime, because on paper, they've got an absolutely unbelievable squad. And winning the league in the upcoming 2024-25 season, in my personal opinion, I've gone with MK Dons. They needed to improve in their defence last season, where they were pretty poor in all honesty, and that's definitely what they've done. The likes of Sam Sherrin signing for the football club, making that step down from League One with Northampton, Luke Offord as well, Lawrence Maguire, 3 very good centre-halves for this level. In midfield, they've massively improved. Tom Carroll, Liam Kelly, Tommy Lee, Joe Pritchard, all signing for the club. Liam Kelly, for me, one of the best pieces of business honest, out of the entire of League Two. Yes, they've lost Max Dean, and it is a massive loss for them, very, very significant, but they've brought in Callum Hendrick to the football club, and I really do like that signing, to be fair. He competes with the likes of Ellis Harrison, Jonathan Lecco, still with the football club as well, although I'm led to believe he has a long-term injury at the moment. They've still got Alex Gilby, who was excellent for them last campaign. Dean Lewington is still somehow with the football club. He's now in his 40s. Joe Tomlinson, the best left wing back in the entire division for me. I think if Tom McGill can actually be a competent goalkeeper, because I know MK Dons had about 7 different goalkeepers last season and all of them were useless, and then I think MK Dons will definitely challenge for the title this season. Mike Williamson, on paper, very good manager, plays a very heavy possession-based style of football, but as of right now, I'm backing MK Dons to win the League 2 title, and there are my entire 24-1 League 2 table predictions. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 250 likes, as I said at the start of today's video, that would be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already, with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so, and it does massively help out. Get your thoughts in as well down in the comment section down below. Where do you think your team will finish in this upcoming 2024-25 League 2 campaign? Who do you think will be relegated? Who do you think will be promoted? And who else do you think will make it into them playoff spots? Thank you all very much for watching today's video. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one. Peace.